We continue with the discussion of derivative as a rate of change. In this video, we'll focus on another example of the application of derivatives, and this time it's about marginal analysis. Okay. And common examples of marginal analysis would be those that deals with cost, revenue, and profit. Okay, so when we say we want to find the marginal cost at a given value, or say marginal revenue at a given value, or marginal profit at a given value, then these things are dealing with derivative. Okay? In concept, when we speak of marginal values, say marginal cost, marginal revenue, or marginal profit, in a production, so say you're producing a certain quantity or a certain product. So normally you'll be spending some amount, so that will be your cost. Now suppose you already have like produce about 300 products or quantities. Sometimes we want to find how much will be the additional cost if we will be producing an additional unit, so one more unit. So we want to find the rate of change. Okay, so marginal simply means the rate of change at which the cost will be changing the moment we add one more unit to the existing quantities that is already or that are already made. Okay, so marginal cost simply means, so let's take cost for example. The marginal cost is simply the rate of change of the cost for producing. So if you are going to produce one more, let's say in producing one more unit. Okay, so again, marginal cost is all about rate of change. So rate of change of the cost for producing one more unit. Okay. In the same way that if we speak of marginal revenue, say you want to produce one more unit, it's the rate of change of the revenue. How much will the revenue increase or decrease if you produce an additional one more unit? And the same is the idea for marginal profit. So what is the rate of change of this value, of the profit value, if you will produce one more unit? To understand this more, I'll be showing you an example. So let's say you have this following scenario. A company has estimated that the cost of producing X items is given by this function C of X equals 10,000 plus 5x plus 0.01 x squared. We want to find the actual cost of producing the 501st item, and later on we also want to find the marginal cost of producing or at the production level of 500 items. To answer letter A, so if you're looking for the actual cost, take note this is not the marginal cost. If we want to find the actual cost of producing the 501st item, all we have to do is to find how much will it cost for producing 501 items and how much will it cost to produce 500 items. And that if we will subtract the cost of producing 501 items and the cost in producing 500 items, then that will give us the cost of producing the 501st item, right? So like compute how much will it cost for you to make 501, compute how many will cost you for making 500 items. Then if you subtract the two, then definitely you will get the cost of producing that one unit, which is the 501st unit. Okay, so how do we do this? We simply find C of 501 by taking x equals 501 in the C of x function, and we do also C of 500 by taking x as 500 in the cost function. So basically you just substitute and compute for the value. Okay, so let's take some time in solving this. The C of 501 is equal to, so this is equal to 515.01, and the C of 500 is 5,100. So subtracting the two will give us a cost of producing the 501st item, which is simply 15.01. Okay, so that means if you are going to produce an additional item after producing 500 items, it will require you to spend $15.01 or $15. Okay, so that's the cost of producing the 501st item. Now, take note that in looking for that cost for the 501st item, there were many steps to find the 15.01, the additional cost of producing that item. If we relate that to derivative as a rate of change, the cost of producing the 501st item can be interpreted as a change in the cost, okay, as we produce one more additional quantity. And if you remember, we talk about the change or the rate of change of the cost per additional quantity as the marginal cost. So the derivative idea will allow us to solve or estimate that actual cost of producing the 501st item by looking or by solving for the marginal cost. Okay, so find the marginal cost at the production level of 500 items, meaning, so you have produced already 500 items. If you will decide to produce one more item, and that is the same as the 501st item, then the marginal cost will allow you to estimate the actual cost of producing one additional item. Just to make this clear, question A and B are actually asking you the same thing. The first one is giving us the actual cost, so we needed to use the cost function to find the actual cost of producing the 501st item. While letter B, by using the marginal cost, we will be able to estimate that actual cost. So we expect that if we do letter B, the answer should be close to 15.01. Okay. Now to get, okay, to estimate the cost of producing the 501st item, all we have to do is to get the marginal cost, the derivative, the rate of change of producing 500 items. It's not 501, okay, because you want to find the rate of change at the given moment when we decide to do one more item. So we will start with the 500 items, okay, or we will be at the 500 item production. Okay, so the marginal cost, the C prime of 500, can be obtained by simply getting the derivative of the cost function at x equals 500. If we do this, C prime of x is equal to the derivative of 10,000 is 0, the derivative of 5x is 5, the derivative of 0.01x squared is 0.02x. So C prime of x at 500 means 5 plus 0.02 times 500. If we compute for this is equal to 15. So you see, the marginal cost was able to estimate the actual cost of producing the 500 first item by getting the marginal cost at the 500 items. Okay? So I hope that the idea of finding the actual cost and the marginal cost is clear. Actual costs will require you to get the cost by using C of x. Like if we want to find the cost of producing the 500 first item, we look for C of 501 and C of 500 and subtract the 2. Now the marginal cost idea is saying that we don't need to do that tedious computation. All we have to do is that when we want to find or estimate the cost of producing another item after producing a certain level of items, in this case 500, all we have to do is to get the derivative of the cost function and look for the value of that derivative at a given production level. One important thing to note is that if I want to find the marginal cost of the 500 first item, we are not looking for C prime of 501. As you can see, we look for C prime of 500 and not C prime of the 501. Okay, because you want to find the rate at the moment we decide to add an additional item, and we are coming from 500 items. Okay, that is why we take C prime of 500. Okay, so that's another application of rate of change. If a question will be changed into marginal revenue or marginal profit, the idea will be the same. Marginal profit is just a derivative of the profit, and then marginal revenue, we just use the derivative of the revenue function. Okay?